Welcome to Homeschooling for Spirituality. The Flow is a delightful mix of insight, divine inspiration, and humor, where wisdom meets earthiness to help your ongoing spiritual growth and transformation. Follow the flow of enlightenment and explore everything spiritual through the deepest self-inquiry, as student Lisa Berry asks Master Spiritual Teacher G.P. Walsh the kinds of questions you would ask an elder, a wise man, or a sage, and receive direct, simple, comprehensive, and deeply human lessons and teachings. From transcending the experience of separation, releasing old conditioned patterns and wounds, and alleviating suffering, to demystifying esoteric practices and revealing one's true purpose and innate freedom. Welcome to the flow of enlightenment. Transformation is all there is. And we have transformed into another year. Happy 2021, GP, and all of our listeners.
Happy 2021. I hope it becomes very boring very soon.
Yes. I think that's the only time in history. Can we please have a boring year, guys? All right.
Yeah, really. Can we get back to boring now?
Well, I think this is the perfect, you know what's neat is that I think our topics really lend themselves to what we're desiring, because today, as I loved what you wrote about, so everybody, welcome to the flow of enlightenment. We're kicking this year off with a little touch. It's just a little touch, you know. And I thought how primal, how back in the beginning, how like how there's evolution to touch. And it was so neat reading what you had shared with us through the show description, that it was 250 million years ago we had this healing power of touch. And there's so many ways of talking about touch that we're going to be exploring during this show right now. And even just before, like when we were chatting, I thought, oh my gosh, there's another one we need to talk about. So let's start with, I'm going to have you share with the listeners, GP, that we're not just talking about regular touch, like hugging, and we've got our social distance going on and all that good stuff. But this is a different kind of touch, and it's a healing, the healing power of touch. I want to ask you how you yourself use this in how you help others just alleviate suffering. There you go.
There you go. Just cut to the chase, yeah. Well, what I was referring to in that is, the practice of Meridian Tapping, or EFT.
Yes.
But touch in general is healing. I mean, whether it be a hug, a pat on the back, it's communicative. It's communicative of community, of safety, you're okay, you're part of the tribe, you don't have to worry. All of that's communicated through touch, and it's been being communicated through touch. You see it in every mammal on the planet.
Yes.
And that's the thing that defines the mammal is the thing they call the limbic brain, or the mammalian brain. Because turtles don't have it. They lay their egg in the sand and off they go. Good luck, kids, right? I mean, they're not saving for college,
right?
So
they don't care because they can't care.
Bondage.
Right.
Caring, it has nothing to do with caring or not. Yeah,
right.
It's not caring or not caring. They simply do not have the capacity for that kind of bonding, which appears in mammals, and you'll see it in every single one, right? There's play, there's touch, there's grooming, right? There's always, it's a constant interaction of communication through touch. And we have, since we've become so into our heads, the emergence of thinking, which is only, I figure about 3 million years old. So in comparison, it's absolutely new kid on the block. I mean, it's a baby. Yeah, but it's so powerful, it's kind of taken over. And we've got taboos against touch and all sorts of things. And there's been lots of studies done on what happens to one comes to mind right away during World War II. towards the end of World War II, during the Blitz bombing of London, right? A lot of the people, they set up basically nurseries, far away from London, to so the parents the parents had to be in London, but their babies would be taken care of a very safe distance away. And there was a lot of them, so their basic needs were met. They were fed and that sort of stuff, but they consistently got sick and died because they had no nurturing, they had no touch.
Right.
They did not get the kind of relationship with the parents that the human body, human nervous system absolutely must have. It is not. It's like water or air, right? We think of it as a luxury, but it's not. Just like you go 3 weeks without food, you're going to die. If you go, it's probably 3 months without touch, the same thing will happen. If you don't physically die, you die inside.
You die inside.
And
yes.
you become distant. I mean, that's criminals. I mean, violent criminals. That's the description of it. That's what happens.
Yes, and you know what's funny? When yes, we are going to talk about that actually. And you just reminded me when couples, the first thing you hear, in marriages that are failing or couples that are, not doing so well, they always say, "Well, you never touch me anymore," and it's got that whole like there's a lack of communication in that way.
Yes, and so, as I say a million times, life is felt, not thought. You can't live in your head. Because of trauma and the like, we distance ourselves from our bodies. We disassociate with our bodies, and we go into our heads. And then we have all these ideas that somehow we've transcended it. And there's a lot of spiritual teaching, right? Your body, nothing to do with your body. I mean, including Christianity and many different forms of Buddhism. You can't even touch somebody of the opposite sex at all. So it becomes this very sterile place where you're trying to get out of the body. Well, that's dissociation. That is not transcendence. Pure and simple. And I went that path for many years. Until I just could not reconcile the fact that, on one hand I'm talking to God, on the other hand my life is a disaster, right? So what's up? What's going on? And there was, no matter what I did, there was a limit to it. And I really was forced to turn around and re-embrace the wholeness of life, which means the body, which means understanding it. What does it do? What's its function? What's it for? What does it need? Right? And suddenly I started taking care of myself. I was working out, right? I started eating right. I started paying attention to stuff. And lo and behold, I felt a whole lot better. Everything seemed to work better. Well,
vitality. The flow of enlightenment, the flow of embodiment. Oh, we're going to have to change the show name.
Well, that's a great, because enlightenment must lead to embodiment, or it's a head trip, and you'll hear a lot of non-dual teachers that are stuck in their heads.
Yes. Yeah. And, a lot of people think that they can just bow out from life and do a lot of, virtual reality and stay online and everything. So that's why I thought of all the times this is the most important time. Because I know sometimes we do rely on it. It's like, well, right now, if we can't get together, we can't touch, we can't do this, then at least we have this. And that's fine. So there's like what you said, there's limits to everything. And I think that was the one thing that I wanted to highlight. Yes, limits.
Yeah, this is this particular time with COVID is extremely destructive.
Mm-hmm.
It destroys the fabric of a culture, of a society, because without touch, everything becomes sterile, and you'll get more frightened. So I mean, the level of fear we're all experiencing now isn't just from that. And the level of ideas about conspiracy theories and the like, all the ideas of all the things that are going wrong. Everybody is trying to fill up this empty space with ideas to try to comfort themselves. We all need a big, long-lasting hug. We need that kind of companion. I mean, I'm a very solitary person. I'm very, I live by myself. I'm very insulated, and I don't really mind. But I would usually, I mean, I look forward to going to the grocery store now, just to, just be with people. Before, I
Yes.
would go out to dinner by myself, but I'd always sit at the bar. I wasn't going to sit alone at little tables in the corner somewhere.
Right?
And for me, it was enough, right? I didn't need to have a conversation. I didn't need to have, a party or anything like that. But
The
you're
involvement.
just in the presence of the energy. Other people are there. There's a little bit of an exchange. I'm good. Right? And I realized that the whole
Yes.
nervous system needs that. It just needs to remember that it's part of the community. That's the nature of the nature of the beast. You don't transcend that. You have to work with it, and not against it. And that's why the kind of the mode of the spirituality I take, and why I include energy healing in this practice, in this path, because you can't deny the body and get to God. Can't do it.
I love that. And that's actually where I was, is it possible for somebody to heal without touch? Even from like Meridian Tapping, like tapping on themselves, touch with themselves. If they're in a straight jacket in a cell in that, what's it called when they can't, what's that horrible thing they do with people when they cast away? Oh my gosh. When they're in prison and they have to go to that like dark room and they can't talk to anybody.
Solitary confinement.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. So if they cannot, is healing possible without that stimulation of touch through the energy systems?
Yes, it is. Not through like talk therapy and things like that. It's not. There is a way. Matter of fact, the ultimate way is inner reconciliation. It's a different relationship with yourself, where it's really body acceptance, right? When the body is accepted, there's an energetic touch going on. It's not rejected, right? And so creating that inner environment of safety, the whole nervous system will respond to that. So that's, the primary goal. But one of the ways to get there is through touch, right? Because that's the ultimate goal.
Yes.
The ultimate goal is self-acceptance, right? It's not therapeutic. It's existential. And so I use EFT to help tell the body you're okay, you're safe, right? And the touch all by itself can do it. And when I work with people privately, sometimes they'll use EFT, sometimes they won't. It depends.
Okay.
And I can sense it. I can sense when it's so stuck in the body that talking is useless. Getting them to try to allow their feelings is useless. The nervous system itself won't allow it to happen, right?
Because it's protecting. It's got that safety hat on.
It's got its safety. It's got its armor on, right? I mean, it's armed to the teeth. literally to the teeth.
Yes. And so with that's the interesting thing that you're able to sense that, because you can hear that resistance from people when they're going, and what the resistance is saying is, I'm not safe. They're not saying, I don't believe this and this isn't true. What they're saying is, whoa, I'm not safe enough. I don't have enough comfort, reconciliation. It's always that.
Yes. It really is a one-trick pony. I mean, that's it. Right?
Yeah.
Everything boils down to safety. I don't care what you're dealing with. Every trauma, every difficulty, every past life experience, it all came down to something that got put in place because you weren't safe. Period.
And do we have to?
End of story.
Is that our job?
No analysis required.
Is it our job to find out what we weren't safe, like what made us not safe, or is it our job to just create new and safe?
It's not. No, thank God. I used to think it was, and of course, psychoanalysis does, right? But the stories are proverbial about people who 15 years of therapy. They know every detail of everything that's ever happened to them ever, and what the impact was, and their life is still a mess.
Yeah, it's worse because now they're like, God, I know all the horrible things that happened. This is awful.
yeah, it's awful because it's not in the head; it's in the body. Right? And once I realized that, it really opened a door. I mean, it just opened the whole door to everything I do now, inner reconciliation, all the energy healing, because I realized I personally did not have the intelligence to be able to sort that all out. How in the world could I? And all of a sudden, instead of trying to tell the body what the problem was, I asked it.
Oh.
It knows.
Oh.
It knows what the trauma was.
Right.
I don't. I'm guessing, right?
Oh,
Why don't I just shut up and say, you tell me. If you want to. You don't even have to, right? So all I do is create the space. That's it. It's safe. I become safe. If I become safe for the nervous system, it detects that. Remember, your nervous system is the most adaptive thing that has ever existed. It can adapt to any environment. It takes the shape of whatever environment. That's its nature. Adaptation is its nature. So if you shift your inner environment from one of, you're fighting it, you're trying to get rid of something or transcend it, you're pushing it away, you think it's broken, you're heaping all sorts of self-help techniques on top of it, it's just digging in its heels. It just feels it's more of the same. But if all of a sudden you stop doing that and you just go, you know what, I accept you just where you are. You're amazing. You've been protecting me 24/7 since the sperm met the egg. You're never off duty. You're the most loyal friend I've ever had. I'm sorry. What do you need? And that instantly creates a different environment inside. And because the nature of the system itself is adaptive, it immediately begins to respond to it. And at that point,
it's like magic.
Boom, it's magic, and it's the Tao.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm glad that you just shared it with everybody. We gave us the one-trick pony. We've got the magic. We've got the answer. So you guys have to come back to the Flow of Enlightenment as we continue to find out how touch is and how we use touch in healing.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
I'm so not good enough. Fail. They'll judge me. I'm afraid others it's already been done.
Who are you not to fully express who you are, to be your warrior of light and do business from your fierce, aligned energy? I'm Rosalind Fung, host of Activate Your Soulgasmic Business here on OMTimes Radio. Let's get your business turned on to the next level. I invite you to hop on a business soul alignment discovery call with me at rosalindfung.com and let's monetize in your soul mission. Go to ROSALYN F as in fun, UNG.com.
I am Fidel Nshombo. I was born in a city called the Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America, and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Oh, just realized there, not share the phone number for people who have questions. So I'm going to jump into that right now. So everybody, if you are listening right now and you are maybe you started just exploring EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. Now GP does something a little different. He does energy technique using tapping and things like that. But if you have heard about it or you want to know more about it, or just have questions or just anything, we're just going to open this up. But we'd love for you to call in and ask your question live here on OMTimes Radio. The number is 202. So 202-570-7057. You can look up the OMTimes number there and just call in and ask us. And it's funny because just before we left, you talked about the sperm and the egg. And my question actually was going to be, yes. So a woman's pregnant, she's got a baby, she's growing inside of her. Her nervous system is doing one thing. Her baby's nervous system is doing, I'm thinking, another. God, goodness me, I don't know now. I'm hoping they're doing different things. Can the mother tap for a child that's in her womb?
You can tap for anybody, yes. And, when the child is in the womb, it is the mother. You can't separate the two. They're completely interlinked. Whatever the mother feels, the child feels, and vice versa.
Okay, that is true. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as if it's an organ growing in the body.
Ah, okay.
It's that level of oneness.
I got to stop, okay, because that's important. So we had just talked about how we might have gone through something that didn't feel safe, didn't feel comfortable, that wasn't good, but the trauma, but our minds don't know it, but our bodies do. Is the trauma that a mother goes through placed in the fetus, the baby?
Yeah, here's another World War II story. It's called the Birth Center.
Oh.
And towards the end of World War II, the Germans who were occupying the Netherlands had quite an active resistance movement. And so to punish them, they took all the food out of it. They took all the food that was being grown there and they took it to Germany. It was a massive starvation. Decades later, they did a study of people who were in their mother's womb at the time, in the second or third trimester.
Okay.
And every one of them had problem with weight. Now, the nervous system isn't even completely developed, at least not to the degree where it's ready to be born, right?
Right.
And so, that information is definitely passed on. And the same kind of thing, they've done some studies on rats and things like that, and, they create, through shock therapy or something, they create an aversion to a certain thing in the parent, and it will literally be in the children. They will have the same aversion without ever having gone through any of the process. So and you realize that can go on generation after generation. So you carry everything in your body all the way back to that first little thing that wandered out that appeared in the ocean.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't separate it. So a lot of that's why you have to ask the body, right? Because there's just no way in the world you could sort all of that out. I mean, really, come on.
Yeah.
How would you?
I was just thinking how big of a job that is.
That happened. Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's impossible, right?
Right.
Our minds like to see things as if there's this little linear thing, and I mean, if your father had eaten the spinach salad instead of the burger the night before, he would have had different sperm, and you might have been a boy.
Right. This is crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Miracle. It's each and every, when they say miracle, we don't mean like the chances of it happening aren't. We're saying it's just the way things have lined up that we are the way we are. And so it's not like we're born. And so, me, Lisa Berry, I'm not born and then go, all right, Lisa Berry, I've got 10 big problems, 10 traumas in my life that I got to deal with. Let's just bang them off right now. It's not like that.
No, it's an unfathomable mystery is what it is.
Right. Okay, so is there a point to even doing this? So like right now, if I was overwhelmed with that, I probably got $1 million. Forget 10. I got $1 million. It's like you think you're only $100 in debt, and meanwhile you check your card and you go, oh no, I put $1,000 on it this month. So it's surprise.
Yeah, that's right.
So
and it's late.
Yeah, and it's late. Yeah. So do we just check in with the body and go, hey there, all right, show me. Come on, show me where this problem is. Like, how do we start that?
Yeah, God damn it, show me. God damn it, show me. Yeah, very just totally gentle and.
Yes.
Well, the beautiful thing is, remember, it's a perfectly adaptive system. It knows exactly what it's doing. If it couldn't endure it, we'd all be dead before we're two.
Right. Yes.
Right. Let's let's just face the facts here, right? So it knows what it's doing. So the first step is to simply just honor the incredible, mysterious magnificence of it and the perfection of it.
Yeah.
And with that appreciation, you begin to look at it through the eyes of the Tao. And the Tao simply means the way things actually are.
Okay.
The way the body really is, what it actually is doing, how it is functioning. And the beauty of this, because the beauty of the human being is the human body has given rise to our capacity to be self-aware. We can actually look at ourselves, and it doesn't appear as any other critter on the planet can do that. And so there's this other element, which is consciousness, right? Which is beyond the body. And of course, in spirituality, we're trying to attain that place. But genuine spirituality actually embraces the body as it is and now forms a relationship with it. Now, the beauty of this is you don't need to deal with the whole thing because you can't. I mean, forget it.
I kind of feel like I've been let off the hook, so I appreciate that.
All you have to deal with, is what is here now. What is the feeling or circumstance that's here now? Right? Now, my little cognitive mind can handle that.
Yes, yeah, all right.
So I just start with that. What are you feeling in this moment?
What's in front of
It's
me?
that simple. Right?
Okay.
Okay, I'm feeling this. Oh, where in the body is it? Okay. So I want you to just give yourself permission to feel that. Don't fight it. Because you'll notice that there's a resistance. I don't want to feel that, especially if it's like a negative emotion. And now there's a whole school of thought trying to get rid of negative emotions. I mean, how stupid can you get? Right?
Yeah, because that's denying ourselves. Is that right? Is that
Absolutely.
You're denying or suppressing
Yeah, you're basically trying to cut a part of you off. That's what happened to us in the first place.
Right.
Your parents said it was a negative emotion, and so you couldn't feel it anymore. It wasn't a negative emotion. You're just a kid. Everything is innocent. Everything is natural. But your culture says you shouldn't think that, you shouldn't feel that, you shouldn't do that. And all of a sudden, of course, you're in a relationship with these giants. You have to do what they say. So they must be right, I must be wrong. And the process of suppression happens. And if it's severe enough, it's even repressed. You're not even aware of it. The body does its job. It adapts. It adapts to the environment. And it does that by cutting parts of itself off, like shoving it down. I call it
like
angels
segregation.
in the basement.
Oh, okay. Because they are angels. They're not a bad thing. They're angels. You just shut the door. Ah, okay. I like
They're
this.
angels that got bad press.
That's funny.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with them at all. We've been told that they're bad, and so we suppress them. There's nothing wrong with them. They're fine. They're totally innocent. So
we want them to come up.
We want them to come up. And in that process, we find all of our resistance, we find our beliefs, we find assumptions, all sorts of stuff begins to come up in this environment of just pure allowing, of pure and that's the real meaning of unconditional love and self-acceptance. You accept everything as it is. And in that moment, what happens is, of course, the message is very clear to the nervous system, you're safe, which means it can now begin to dispose of the toxic, traumatic material that it's had to hold on to. Because it knows it doesn't need it.
Right. It's like, no, we've moved on. That was bad. It's in the garbage, waiting for the recycling truck to pick it up. But
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But it has to first know that it's safe. If it doesn't know that, it won't let it go. It can't.
Okay, here's the GP. Here is the
I'm surrounded by enemy. I'm not going to put down my gun.
Right. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that. That was actually perfect. So what you just said, if I'm surrounded by enemy, I'm not going to put down my gun. And that's like, I can picture that. I feel that. So here's my thing is I have had a struggle with this very common thing that everybody will say, and they say it's a good thing. And I'm just like, yeah, it doesn't feel so good. It's asking. So what it is that you've heard this. You should face your fears. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm afraid of them. I'm not putting these guns down. The enemy is right there. What are you talking about? So when people say that, get out of your comfort zone, face your fears. You've got to relive the trauma. Like, is this not? So for me, I'm completely judging and getting all hyper here. I'm like, are you guys nuts? That's not how you're going to do this. So when they say face your fears, could we perhaps maybe, GP, I think we should start a whole thing. Let's we'll teach the world to say, let the angels out of the basement. That's what I want to say.
Yes, and that's and when you get that that's what it is, you realize that the fear is simply the mechanism trying to protect itself. Right?
Yes.
Now, if you understand it, you can allow it. When you don't understand it, you get in conflict with it, and that's really what they mean. Face your fears means, go through your fears, push them, fight with it, and win. Right?
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You may get a battle, you will never win the war.
Exactly.
Because it is way better at this than you are. Right? It's had 250 million years of practice.
Right, exactly. See, there, I think that this is actually quite helpful. I think this conversation right now today is what I know I, as a student, have been lacking with any kind of EFT tapping, any kind of emotion. Whoops, sorry, yelling at a cat. Sorry. Stop. To talk about fears here, we've got a war zone here. When I've gone to do the tapping, and I'm like, all right, here we go, and I'm going to go in at it and start with my even those, feeling like crap, whatever. I'm upset with myself, and I'm like, and then the turnaround, it just never quite seems comfortable enough.
It doesn't,
because I'm not ready.
Work.
Right. So
self doesn't work.
Yeah, I can't help myself. I'm not available to help myself. Right.
Because the underlying intention is still to get rid of it. There's an underlying assumption, I'm broken, it's broken, I've got to fix it, and I know better. What an arrogant point of view.
Right.
It's utterly stupid. Right?
So
it's nonsensical, and it's harsh on yourself. It's not loving.
Yes, you feel like a failure after, because I know many people, including myself, have gone through different things of tapping. I'm like, well, I can tell myself I feel better, and maybe at times I can talk myself. Maybe I do, just because I'm tired of being grumpy with myself. Yeah. But really, I don't. And I'm like, well, then I failed it. I can't figure this out. Tapping doesn't work. Then I can blame something else, right?
Yes, and then it's on to the next thing. Well, now we're going to try Wolfing, right? And then we're going to try, meditation, and then we're going to hang upside down in a yoga studio for 4 hours. I mean, it's endless. Yes. It's absolutely endless. The way mind divines things to try to fix something, a problem that isn't a problem. And of course, because it completely misunderstands what's actually happening, every solution it comes up with is going to fail.
Yes. So is this a battle of beliefs of we are battling, is this a war, literally, against, we believe another person thinks this, we believe we think this, we believe this happened to us, and we're not trying to erase it, we're not trying to, well, are we? No, I don't even know. I always get these questions with you.
No, you don't have to erase anything, right? I mean, one of the first things I always do is tapping. So my first round of tapping, it sounds like I'm just affirming the most negative things in the world. And I have actually had people get up and walk out on me.
Oh, wow.
When I've done live events and that sort of thing, because they don't want to hear any of the negative talk. I mean, somebody really protested loudly once. And I said, I can't let that stuff in. I said, ma'am, it's already in.
Okay, so stay there for just a second. That's actually important. It's already there, and so that they say, I don't.
There.
What would be a negative? Just to help the listeners, what would be one of those affirming negative, positive things?
I'm not enough. I'm not enough. Fill in the blank. I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not facile enough, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough opportunity, I'm not enough. Everybody on the planet has that.
Yes. Okay.
In some way
and you're
or
saying,
another, right?
and when we say we don't want to say that, you're saying, well, but you've got to start somewhere.
No, the first thing I'll do is go, even though I'm really not enough, I'm totally not enough, I've never been enough, I'm never going to be enough, I love and accept myself anyway. At least, well, actually I don't. At least I'm open to it if it would happen. Right?
Right.
Now, what happens in that? What happens in that moment? Because the underlying belief is that that's it. I just voiced the fact, the very thing that we don't want to admit to ourselves. We're scared to death to admit. I'm not enough. But that is what we believe. And I don't mean believe in the head, because we can have all sorts of things in the head. It's irrelevant. We believe it in the body. The body believes it.
Believe it in the body.
So for the body, it's true. So if I'm if I'm trying to visualize myself not being enough and all of that, your body feels threatened once again, because you're trying to push it into a position, right? And it's already, all its defenses are based on this assumption. You're threatening the assumption. What do you think it's going to happen? It's going to dig its heels in. What happens, though, if all of a sudden you start agreeing with it? You're absolutely right. I'm not enough. I'm a total mess.
Yes.
I'm a disaster. I always have been. I'm always going to be. The body hears that. All of a sudden, you're not in conflict with it anymore. And I usually find within a few minutes of doing that, sometimes it takes longer, suddenly, God, I feel more relaxed. I'll have them say to themselves, I'm not enough. And they say, God, it doesn't sound so true. Why? Because I took the body out of the defensive posture. It could look for itself. Am I really not enough? Oh, well, maybe not. It now has the freedom to question its own assumptions. But if it's a defensive mode, it can't do that. You can't ask the soldier who's in the bunker with the rifle, to say, do you think this is really a good war to be having? I mean, you can't get them involved in philosophical discussions. Right?
Right.
The bullets are flying, right?
Yes.
But when it's over, right, and they're somewhere else, and they're hanging out in a cafe or something. You say, you know what? That was a stupid war. We really didn't need to be in that. But you can't do that in the middle of it. The body won't do it. It's got to feel safe. When it feels safe, magic happens, right? When the water comes out of the mountain, it doesn't need a GPS to find the ocean. It knows where to go. You take the blocks away, and it will do what it needs to do. The body will naturally spring from the defensive to the expressive state. It's its nature.
I love that, from the defensive to the expressive. And so right now, I know we're sneaking away to commercials, but if you've just resonated with that you're feeling like, oof, I've been in the defensive, but I would like to be in the expressive. Well, then when you feel safe, magic happens. We just heard GP Walsh say that. I love that. So come on back to the flow of enlightenment.
So it must be true.
That's right. Come on back, you guys. And if you have any questions.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On. My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Welcome back, you guys. I'm going to give you the number to call in. You know what always happens is on the commercial break, we get so giggly and start making funny things up. I forget what we were talking about. Go. And you know, that's called being in the flow, isn't it? You're just like, da-da-da. So,
one of these days, though, Christopher is going to forget to mute us, and everybody's going to hear what's going on while the commercials are going.
We do love the commercials. I think that's the thing, is they're so creative. But everybody, if you do have a question, this is really fun, and we promise we won't laugh when you call in, but but we do want to hear from you, and the number is 202-570-7057. And the reason why we invite you guys to ask these questions is that, GP, you do so many beautiful, we have our Facebook group. If you'd like to join, it's a private group, so you do need to request or you need to be invited, so let us know if you'd like to be a part of that. But you do workshops, you do events, you do your Sunday Sat Songs live on YouTube. And we just wanted to have this platform, like a show where we're discussing, we're talking about things at the same time, where people could call in and say, yeah, I do have a question. I can't figure this out. Help me, GP. And so that's why we're here to do the show as well. And into this, we've chosen, tapping. Now, I have to jump into this one. You do not call it EFT, which is emotional freedom technique for tapping. You call it ET, or something which is energy technique. Why is yours, not yours, but why is the way you do it differently than what people might be familiar with?
Well, I learned EFT, and if you see me do it, I don't do it any differently. I learned from Carol Look, who's kind of the grand dame of EFT. She was a student of Gary Craig, who's the guy who was a student of Roger Callahan, who discovered the whole thing. So it's not, I do the formula different. It's all the intention and the heart that you bring to it. And so the energy that I bring to it is not therapeutic; it's transformation. So what makes it different is inner reconciliation. My whole intention of using tapping is not to fix or heal a problem; it is to create an environment of safety. If you do that, the healing will take place all by itself. You don't have to make it happen. It was the environment of our childhood that created all of the traumas and patterns. Right? Okay. It's the environment that was created, right? Not the specific instances, not the specific events themselves. It was the general environment, and the environment, especially as interpreted by the nervous system, right? Because remember, it's adaptive system. So it's not just reacting to an event, it's reacting to the entire picture.
Yes.
And so it's molding itself to that container. And so what you have to do is not try to deal with a specific instance or a specific thing or try to fix something. You simply create the environment that is most conducive to its own adaptation. And that's the environment of safety. That's what it's seeking. It was the absence of safety that caused the traumas. Well, then what would cure a trauma? Well, the presence of safety. Duh.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. That was, and I think it's because I've heard it different ways in different times now, but that one makes absolute incredible sense. So the same, oh my gosh, this is like I'm having an epiphany here. I have a sister. We've lived in the same house. We had the same parents. But the environment, how we interpreted to our nervous systems would have interpreted the environment in a different way through all of our senses based on our experiences and our thoughts, perceptions, how safe we felt based on like what you said, spinach or hamburger. Maybe, she got a hug a minute before and I didn't. I don't know. If we felt, if our safety level was at a different rating when a certain event happened, we would have interpreted it differently, therefore either causing a trauma or an injury or whatever. And we just need to, it's our interpretation of it. It's not what actually happened that happened.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Wow.
Which doesn't mean, doesn't mean that it's like an abusive thing is an abusive thing. But it depends on whether or not the system can process it.
Yeah.
And it is a matter of, the ultimate, the essential thing is, the essential trauma is it safe to be yourself or not? Because you can't be anything other than yourself, right? You don't have a choice about that, right? So if it's not safe to be you, you have an existential break. It's a disconnect from your soul. And you literally have to create somebody whom you are not in order to function within that environment. So to the degree that we were allowed to be ourselves, and it's very, like, again, there's infinite number of variables here. It can be, your father may have been slightly different with you than he was with your sister. Your mother was, and of course there's the nature of ourselves, of us ourselves, right? And its interaction with the environment, because no two people, even identical twins, aren't identical, right? There's going to be differences in how they respond. So that's why you can't sort this out. It's too complex.
Right.
But you don't have to, because the body knows exactly what it was.
Okay, that's the key. The body knows, and that's why tapping works. That's why tapping works.
Yes. It works because it communicates safety through touch. That's it. To me, that's it. There's elaborate things about the meridian system and acupuncture and, release of cortisol and all these kinds of things. That's great. I don't care about any of that. It creates safety.
Okay, so
it
that's
says our body, you're safe.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. And when we're not feeling safe in our environment, in our body, it just says, nope, you are not safe, then you're not going to do these things. So this is the most interesting thing. So can any trauma be healed through this work?
Of course.
Okay.
Because all traumas were created by the same thing, the absence of safety. If you replace it with safety, what happens? Right? It disposes of the trauma. The trauma is simply the body. Right? What a trauma is normally, if I'm in danger, right? And look at it from a primitive point of view. From a primitive point of view, danger was never a constant, right?
Okay, yeah.
There was always a certain alertness, right? If you watch a deer eating, you'll see the ears going all over the place, right?
Yes.
And they'll stop, their head will go up, they'll look, okay, nothing there, and they're back. And so they're going up and down constantly in and out of that. Now, if a real danger happens, boom, they're all in.
Right.
Everything, boom. Everything is invested in getting away from the danger. But then when the danger is gone, the body just discharges all of that energy. So we were designed to either fight or flee, right? And that's the buildup of the energy. Now, if you can't fight and you can't flee, there's only two things that can happen. Oops, are you here?
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, all of a sudden it
I
just
can
went
hear
really,
you.
really quiet. I checked my computer.
You're like the deer munching.
I'm the deer munching, and all of a sudden the ears went up, right? So what happens if you can't run and you can't fight?
Yeah.
Because that's what the energy is supposed to do. One of those two things.
Right.
And one of those two things will discharge that extra energy. It's like a cat gets in a fight, and you'll see it 2 minutes later, and it's purring, licking itself, sitting in the sun.
Which I'm looking at right now.
No residual energy left. But if you can't do either, where does that energy go?
I don't know.
That's called the freeze mechanism. That's called suppression, and that's what we humans do. And when you're a child, you cannot fight and you cannot run away.
Right. Yes, and
You
that's a
are the
horrible
most
feeling.
vulnerable position. Oh, it's so horrible that the system can't let you feel it, and it has to suppress it. That's the angel that goes in the
But for protection. Oh my gosh. Okay, I get that. That's okay. I get what suppression is now. Ah.
You can't be you.
Because you'd like to do something.
To be you, you are in an existential conflict. I can't.
That's actually really
be me,
intense.
and I'm not allowed to be me.
Right. When it's dangerous to be you, and that's like one of the biggest things I would really like to call on people right now, where you're feeling if it's dangerous to be you, and now we know not just dangerous as in there's a knife at you or a gun or anything, but it's dangerous to be you because you might get cancer. It's dangerous to be you because you might ruin a marriage. It's dangerous to be you because you might lose a sense of freedom, right? Yeah. Actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to invite them to your tapping because those are things that I'm hearing right now. Those are things that are showing up like, oh no, I can't say that or do that, so I just have to sit here and button my lip up and not say anything, or I don't want to cause, was it create waves, I think it's called, or something, like small things like, oh, I don't want to upset the apple cart. Oh, there's so many fun little sayings. But those
so
are,
many, yeah.
Yes, but they're all what we are feeling. And so I am going to invite people right now to this because you are going to be doing, and it's free, so everybody can just, join the Facebook group to do this, but you're going to be doing 10 days of tapping. In this specific way, where you're going to walk them through and help them to get their body to feel safe through touch, and then I need you to take over. And then what happens? Okay, you got a safe body, and now what?
Well, it becomes a consistent retraining. I mean, the ultimate goal is remember that the nervous system had to suppress who you were. And it could be the very best parts of you, which means you get into adulthood and the inner resources you need for life aren't available to you. You have them, but you don't know it. And that's where you start to try to accumulate it, and you start doing all the self-help and all these kinds of things. You can't get near it. You won't get near it until it's safe. So when you start becoming safe, what happens is these powers begin to reemerge. The nervous system drops out of its defensive posture and goes into its really primary function, which is self-expression. That's what the body is for. It's to give expression to the infinite consciousness which you are. And so what we're doing basically is tuning the piano. We're bringing the piano back. We're putting it back together and tuning it up so it can actually be the vehicle of self-expression. But the self has been suppressed. So you are somebody else. And of course, this is the spiritual dilemma too. You really believe you are that person. And that is the fundamental thing. Enlightenment is when you realize that's not who you are. It's really that simple. I am not this body. I am not this person. I am not the one that I thought I was. And when you believe you are, that's the ego that we all struggle with.
Right.
So it's existential as well as therapeutic.
Yes. Oh, I love that you said that earlier. This is not just about healing. This is about transformation. And now it's all coming together for me because the body is what's giving expression to the consciousness. We are allowing this. So by doing the tapping, whether it's 10 days with you or just every day on their own or whatever, I mean, the purpose for this is to create that safe environment to allow who you are to emerge. I love that. And what have you been afraid of? Making money, being successful, having a family, just feeling safe and having wellness, vitality. So that's who I'm reaching out to right now to help to. Now, how are we going to do this now? Because we walked through this a bit. I know we're going to be doing this on the Facebook. We have a private group there, you guys. It's GP Walsh, spiritual teacher. But send us one of us, a Facebook message or even email it. How should we do this so they can enroll?
Well, I mean, it's Facebook/groups/GP Walsh will get you there, and you can ask to join. So it's a relatively simple link. I will be setting up an opt-in for it, and I completely forgot to do it.
Me too. We will have that for you guys.
But we'll get it out. And I'll be telling if you're not on my mailing list, send send us an email for that. You can just send it to questions@gpwalsh.com, and we'll get you on the mailing list, because I will be notifying everybody about it and putting it out there for everyone to come and join the party. 10 days of tapping, and I'll be focusing on all the various things, the deepest stuff we have. I'm not lovable. I'm not enough. I don't deserve. It's not right for me. It's immoral. I will focus on all of those all that real deep stuff, and all we're going to do is make you feel safe with it. It's that simple.
I love that. It's not hard. It's not. There's no homework. It's not like I'm going to fail at this. You can't fail at this, you guys. So literally, yes, this is the one. It's 10 days.
You cannot fail. Yeah.
And that makes a lot of people feel safe.
How many offers do you get like that, huh?
Every ticket's a winner.
Every ticket's a winner. Yeah.
So with that, we absolutely, because I know this show really did fly. So we just thank you guys so much for just tuning in and supporting us and listening to us and being a part of us. That's all we're looking for is the interaction. We want to be able to know how to help you. GP is just, I'm going to say that. GP's got the answers to everything. That's what I think. So there you go. Come and tap with us at questions with an S at gpwalsh.com. And otherwise, we'll see you next Tuesday. So you can call in then. Thank you so much, GP. This has been wonderful.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.